Hi everyone, my name is Martha. I'm a clinical sexologist with a doctorate in human sexuality, and I'm from Eros Coaching. I have a radio show called Eros Evolution that happens every week. And I had a new friend of mine. He's a German sexologist, and his name is Dr. Jakob Pastoetter. And I loved his interview, and I'm going to share the link here. And I decided to make some videos together with him because he's so excellent. And I really wanted to let him have more exposure and also have all of you be able to share more of his wisdom, receive some of his wisdom. And so let me just do a quick introduction of him before I go into this video series. So Dr. Jakob Pastoetter, he started as a spiritually interested teenager and delved into cultural anthropology, developed a taste of sexology while doing his research in the Kinsey Institute for research in sex, gender, and reproduction. So he wrote his doctorate thesis on hardcore pornography and the constraint to self-constrain mechanisms of the civilizing process it is entangled in. So I'm going to talk about his thesis later on, like in another video series. But in this video series, I want to ask about the link between sex and spirit. And so a little bit more about Dr. Jakob Pastoetter. He had his Ph.D. in education in the Humboldt University, Germany. And he became an ABS certified clinical sexologist at the American Academy of Clinical Sexology in 2003, teaching tutoring for 15 years while doing research media work, and also been doing sex, couple, and life counseling as the president of the German Society for Social Scientific Sexuality Research. So you just need to know that he's the main guy when it comes to German sexology, running the German Society for Social Scientific Sexuality Research. And you can find him at his website, that's Sexology, with ie.org. That's Sexology, IE instead of Y is ie.org. So that's the German spelling. And you can find him on Facebook at Eros Arising. Okay, so welcome, Dr. Jakob.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
So this is a series of little videos that we're making to educate people more about sexology. And I have a different perspective from you being Singaporean Chinese and you're German. So tell us, what is your concept of sexology?
I think it is very important to realize that sexology should not only deal with the body aspects of sexuality, but also with other aspects which are also very important to have a real sexual life. Sexology, starts with the concept of sexuality being more or less a subject to psychiatry. And this focus on psychiatric aspects of sexuality is a little bit like if theologians would only deal with sins and not with the pleasures of life. So we didn't start as sexology with the concept of what is a healthy, a fulfilling sexuality. We started with the concept what is bad, what is unhealthy sexology. And that's a huge difference, because the point of view really counts when you want to describe what is sexuality. And I think this is coming from this perspective that we have started to divide sexuality in just tiny bits of what is normal, of what is acceptable, or what is not normal. And you see this beautifully in all of those questionaries about sexuality, where the interest is not in sexuality as a whole area of experience, but only an interest in those separated parts of what constitutes sexuality. So you get questions about masturbation, you get questions about when your interest in sexuality started. You get questions about different positions, etc., etc. But you don't get to the core of what sexuality is. It is something which makes us whole as human beings. It creates something new. One beautiful example is, I think, that most women totally realize and are very happy that we have so many ways to prevent pregnancy on the one hand, but on the other hand, women realize that they can't separate their sexuality completely from reproduction, because sexuality is for women much more a body experience than for men. And this idea that sexuality could be something different for women and for men is nothing which comes to our Western concept of sexuality easily. It's almost like we always expect girls to work for both men and women in just the same way. And I think we realized this also in counseling. When you talk to women, you have to be very careful not always to have just the point of view of males on sexuality, which makes female sexuality almost in all aspects as something less than male sexuality. Males masturbate more, males have more orgasms, and so on. So it's always as if women have to become more men to really experience their full sexual potential. And that's not healthy, because although this is in the disguise of liberating female sexuality, it really has always the taste of blaming them for not being male. and that can't be true. That can't be true. I am sure if the first sexologists, and it's still a field which is dominated by males, if the first sexologists would have been women instead of male, we would have a totally different sexology.
So just to summarize what you've been saying so far, I appreciate what you're saying, that sexuality has to be much more than the body, and it has to be much more than talking about the things that we don't want about sexuality, the things that we perceive are bad, things to avoid, and also to not talk about sexuality in different compartments, like, for instance, masturbation or contraception, and we need to be talking about it, more of it as a whole, and also to be very mindful of the differences when it comes to male-female sexuality. For instance, the embodiment of conception, pregnancy is very much body-based for women, and also different sex drives. So, so I guess this gives a very good introduction to the concept of sexuality and we can make other videos from now on this series. So shall we end this video? For now. Thanks.